Daily trading recap for this Thursday, the 4th of November, 2021. SPY another day in the green, slapping all-time highs once again. A little bit more of a consolidation type of price action day today, hovering around VWAP, but we'll see where the next few days align us. Still in this crazy data following trend of object in motion tends to stay in motion. If it's green, just keep betting on green until it says otherwise. Very interesting to see. VIX for volatility, take another look at that, hovering around, staying around 15 to 16 range there. It's just crazy to see still that it's elevated from where we were pre-2020 as we enter obviously this 2020 era. Man, we just skyrocket that volatility, but at what point and what constitute us getting back to, not that I want to, but I'm still trying to figure out, is it less volume? Is it less price action fluctuation in the single day? Just a curious question that I have of, man, we're still above 15. What point does it take to get us back to those 2019 levels almost? Again, like not that I want to, but how does that work in price action? Anyways, other tickers I wanted to mention going into beforehand, I get into the one trade that I had on today. Did not restrict myself from taking two other potential trades that would both been winners as well, but great green day that I had today. SNMP, another one that I wanted to hammer hard, that I had my Hawkeye focus on to try to trade for the downside. And HIMS as well too, another one of those pre-market percentage movers looking for that afternoon fade style of trader, post morning session at least style of fade trade. Beautiful opportunity here that, again, it's hard to try and predict. It's all about timing. You know, how do you predict at what's the indicator here that this point is the exact top, and then you know it's going to pull back there. It's going to try to retest VWAP and just pull off for a nice percentage move. Easy hold as a short, fade to the downside for what stupid type of ticker this is. It's funny to note here as well too on this one that this top was actually the VWAP crack for what would have been me considering the entry as a morning dump setup in the pre-market. Of course, I wasn't going to try and trade it as that. But funny to note, I feel like I've seen that a few times before, that this area does have some amount of influence on tickers, potentially into market hours, but certainly in pre-market as well too. If price wants to come around there, that area can certainly influence or affect these types of stocks. That first break, that first actual crack of VWAP is a point of inflection on these types of tickers. And funny to see that was the high during market hours for that one of the day that did not go any higher from there. So great opportunity on that one that I just didn't want to touch because didn't feel that it was huge enough or big enough profit opportunity percentage to the downside. Just other tickers I was watching as well too. And then HIMS is, I want to mention, same type of thing. That this one faded a heck of a lot earlier, similar to WIMI in a sense a few days ago, but WIMI just was a complete die-off. HIMS had a little bit of a reclaim to VWAP, and then just dying off once again. Slow and easy fade as a trade, as an easy hold as a short, and then not trying to execute precisely around for the profit-taking or covering there. It's just an easy opportunity to take a short trade on that one. ARTL also mentioning from the trade that I had on it yesterday, freaking hitting 1.5 in this pre-market. Not that I would have been awake to try and trade it, but had I had a limit order in, stuck to my guns, I would have been out probably yesterday, even if somehow I was wise enough to stay in that trade after it broke that $1. Just a stupid stroke of luck that I had family coming over and I had to be stopped out on that one. It did exactly what I wanted it to do, what I was thinking it was going to. Not exactly what I thought it was going to do. I thought we were just going to get a pretty much immediate spike once we got into the after hours, but we have not seen that in a long time since that 2020 crazy area. But good to see at least the price action was there, and there was some amount of after hours and pre-markets craziness in this one, and of course market hours, just nothingness, bland. EVAX and PETZ, both of these I had the feeling that I could see both of these just dumping out of the open and just offering no amount of spike. Whatever intuition or guidance that came upon. Of course, crazy after hours from yesterday, both of these with different little bit of news. And famous last words in both of them of actually trying to take a position short from market open, just going blindly short because even Jack number two was looking for potential spike to short into. He was even thinking pets could go red to green. Tim Sykes going hard on it as well of do not short these stocks whatsoever. But I just had that thought on both of these that, man, I could definitely see both of these just kind of dumping at the open, and a beautiful little trade here on pets of, again, price action under VWAP into open. falls off, tries to reclaim a VWAP a little bit, does not have the strength to continue to do so. 10% opportunity from market open, 4 to 3.6. Beautiful little trade there for me in my book on that one. But not a hard pattern trader, certainly not me willing to put my money where my mouth is on that type of pattern, just kind of throwing spitballing ideas in. Good to see that sometimes they do actually end up working out, but not confident whatsoever to try and trade on that thesis beforehand. But we'll continue to keep throwing out those spitball ideas in the future. Going into the trade on the day, XRTX, let's go over market internals first as well, just as housekeeping. We are 8 minutes after the close here. NASDAQ, $305 billion volume on the day. Pretty insane, surpassing the NYSE at $280 billion volume. I think this has been the first time in a long time that the NASDAQ has been above $300 billion volume. That's pretty nice to see, and so close, still so close from market close. And we got plenty more after hours time to gain some more dollar volume. OTC market dollar volume, that's total, $2.9 billion volume on the day. XRTX was my only trader on the day. Took this one pre-market. There was a little bit more play in this one during market hours, but this was another one, call it a little bit similar to that PETZ and EVAX type of thesis that I just had the feeling and intuition that this one was going to be a nice little trader. It's a low floater. It doesn't even show anything on my scans profile, but I think Yahoo Finance shows this at like an 8 million floater therapeutic company. The news catalyst from yesterday was its delisting from the Canadian exchange and now going to Toronto exchange, so getting some volatility. This after hours here certainly was beautiful in my book to show that, hey, we can trade some range here, at least in the after hours. Market hours can be a completely different story at times, but the range potential on this one can certainly be exciting if we get in at the right time. The timing specifically, with my monthly goal as well of we got to be precise and execute when the demand is there. So looking at this one, if we kind of just quarter off what I was looking at before the trade entry, man, we had these opportunities in the after hours, a little bit of a pullback here coming into the pre-market today, but now to the upside of VWAP, a little bit of a dip, continuing to put in higher lows, curling to this little 4.8 area, just looking and waiting like a hawk to pounce on it if any amount of volume wants to come in. We get a little tiny hint of bid support coming in there. I'm able to get an entry around 4.8 just before that moment that it does actually get a nice little catapult, immediately go to 4.9. We start to ride a little bit higher. Some more volume wants to come in. Let's look on the scale a little bit here to easier to see. Yes, I think we get more volume coming in, matching a little bit what it was dip buying at here in this pre-market in regards to volume, that we get this nice little breakout above 4.8, little local relative range high, continue to go to that $5 whole dollar level area. I see it has a little bit of a struggle there around 5, so I think, okay, so let's just take off some profits at this point here. If that's really the end of this move, I wasn't expecting anything crazy. It is a slow floater. There could be way more potential in the market hours, but I got to respect the price action if that's what it's going to do. But more volume definitely came in to shoot that thing above 5. So I'm thinking, great, I'm glad I only took off 10 or 20 shares of my 50 share super minuscule size that I was trading on it. We got to 5.2, which was 10% from that 4.8 entry, which I think in my book, that's always got to be a factor of how other people are looking at this and trading it. Those key integers from an obvious point of entry of how it's scaling with volume coming in, of looking at an obvious entry point around 4.8, 10%, 15%, maybe even 5%. If you want to use those integers, I think those can definitely be key areas at times that other traders, other retail traders, potentially other larger players in this can start to take profits and put up some lines of resistance or areas of key inflection that these things can align to. So I wasn't able to get a perfect 5.2 fill. I didn't put a limit order in, but scaled just below like 5.18, took a few more off like 5.14. We get harder pullback, so then risking, of course, the last 20 shares or so at my entry price, and was able to beautifully get out before a huge slippage below that obvious entry point of that 4.8, which I thought, okay, sweet. At least I got in the trade when I wanted to, was able to capture the move when it was there, followed my monthly goal of trying to be the most precise with my entries and executions, and it was out before I would have had to take a lot of more slippage and probably bottom filled at 4.7 again. So I was able to avoid that. Did reclaim into market open. Oh my gosh, and huge push into a halt within the first 2 minutes, halting at 5.5, open again a little bit lower, but then smacking to the upside of 5.9. And at this point, as we're riding here, I'm going, shoot, man, I probably should have held up a little bit more. Going into that 4th minute on the market open day, then you just get washed to the downside. Not even like it was huge volume compared to those first 3 minutes either, but huge price action dump, halted to the downside below VWAP. And I'm going, well, I'm kind of glad now that it wasn't a part of it. It was profit opportunity was there, but geez, just what a headache to try and be long this with big size, and then you see it just panicking out underneath you for what sketchy type of manipulated stock this is. And this thing, as it opens, continues to just dump lower and lower the rest of the day. That was the end of the opportunity volatility on it for the day. But decent little technical read analysis there in the pre-market, and shoulda, coulda, woulda taken bigger size, but I think I was comfortable with that 50 share position, that $240 size of, gosh, with the streak I've been on, I'm just looking for a win, just looking to trade these, focus on the entries and the executions where I'm at and identifying the trades themselves, not looking to try and reclaim my losses, just looking to, hey, take the trades as they are there and understand what winning trades look like. Just completely disregard not completely disregard the position size you're taking, but just position size at this point doesn't even matter. It's just about how and where you can get filled and what trade you're looking at specifically. So I think easily with a bigger position size, I could have gotten the same, if not better, fills and the same exits I was getting as well. So I know it's going to be very easily to just ramp that up and dial it up more when I do want to take bigger position sizes on these ones. But decent little trade to start the day. And that was really the only trade, $6 little winner there. Going on to the next ticker that, coulda, shoulda, woulda been taking a trade on. I absolutely didn't have this one on the watch list from yesterday, but had it on the watch list of the scans coming into market today, looking for that second day play. Nice little OTC first day yesterday on volume, a little bit of volume. Former multi-day runner, looking for second day continuation. It was a little bit wider of a spread from early in the pre-market, but then I think we closed that up at the morning bell. We get to 175 here, and I was kind of still spiking the football a little bit, or just still watching more of the price action on XRTX, XRTX, that I wasn't even getting ready for calculating the position size for this one or looking hard at the level 2 of having all that charts up. So I was a little unprepared because I was still focused more on that other stock as market was opening. And then I see, okay, we're holding with volume. Oh, shoot, 1.6 looking good. Okay, we'll see if 1.8 has any amount of resistance or if it wants to start pulling off from here. Then we get a nice break to the upside of 1.8. It's still kind of lingering a little bit around 1.81, 1.82. I'm thinking, okay, like trying to calculate in my head just how many zeros I need to add onto my order just to even get like $100 position, whatever that would have been. But I just said, okay, I just don't want to be in this. Let's watch where it goes. Let's learn more from the price action than trying to screw ourselves over, trying to be in the trade and profit off of it that way. We can just learn more from it by sitting on the sidelines and putting our full focus on watching what's happening rather than trying to screw around with the order right now. I was unprepared. I'll take the L in that sense. Great little 4-minute move out of the open there. I would have definitely been selling into this to reject. It was certainly, there was in the millions of sellers on the ask at that point. So I definitely would have been liquidating 198, 197 there. Had a little bit of a pullback, not like falling off, but just still holding nicely. It was even looking at the volume here as we get the second break, which was another awesome opportunity that in my head I'm thinking, okay, could I see this going from 2 to 2.2 for a 10% move? God, I certainly think I could, but do I want to do that at this point? Even though I was watching, this one was the one I was watching in full by this point. Surprising that the volume didn't really reflect the move there. It was still a large amount of sellers on the ask. It wasn't like there was huge bid support coming in. It was just like, okay, price is going to go here. There's somebody hidden on the sidelines that was just continuing to push this thing higher. And yeah, like the volume shows, it's not like it needed a huge push to break that 20 barrier. So just very interesting price action on that one to watch live. And immediately again, another 3-minute move to a very nice 10% move there. That would have been a nice trade. Again, even if I had taken this trade here, seen it consolidate, pull back a little bit, still holding VWAP, climbing back to that high of day at 2 cents. Man, another awesome opportunity there for that one. Had a little bit more rise in the morning session, then kind of peeled off, faded for the rest of the day. So it's still green at this point, right? Yeah, so I don't know what it wants to do in the next few days here, but I doubt it has a hard panic. If any long is still trying to bag hold this thing. But great 2 opportunities in the morning there. OLB, the last one I want to mention, the one that got away, the one that I didn't freaking pull the trigger on. This one was the watches for third day style of play. Had the crazy action on Tuesday for sketchy freaking 2 million floater. A little bit, not an extensive history, but has this one instance of potential little multi-day moves here, but in red on the daily candles for themselves. So looking just any amount of technical consolidation. I had to factor into, as I look at this in hindsight, of, okay, it is a super low floater. It was holding pretty decently, 6.5-ish here, climbing into the market open today, but not the most beautiful or even transparent price action in pre-market. Could call this entry points here as it was holding, but even as I had this on my chart, I was watching this the whole time of as it's holding here around 7.2 of like, okay, do I really think it could be here? Because how many times have I done that with EQOS? What was the one yesterday that I took a kind of stupid loss on? That they're just so lackluster that I felt these third day, I even said it yesterday that, man, these third day plays are just doing nothing. Grill was another one, I think. But I think OLB today was just a little bit, had some more things going for it just in its fundamentals to be pretty squeezy today that those other ones didn't have. But that's just how it works. When I think it's done and I kind of given up on it, then that's the time that it does work. And this whole point here, as we're building with 7.4, I'm watching it hovering around 7.4, thinking, okay, it's up pretty nicely. Maybe we get a little bit more volume to come in, but it draws out a little bit more, and then we get a sharper move. That's the point that I would enter. I'm not just going to chase it blindly here because of how many times I've done that. And then, of course, this is the one that moves precisely from that point. That would have been an awesome little trade directly from that kind of chase trade, you want to call it, as it's popping on 7.4. Jeez, oh, Pete's, man. I guess in hindsight, as I look back on the chart and reflect on it, I don't know how much it would have moved in real time with it, but VWAP can certainly see of how sharp that was holding, clinging to the price action itself here. I don't know if it would have been as clear in real time if it was just almost touching the bottom of the candle still as it's still rising, which certainly would have been a great move that, hey, there's VWAP is rising. This one could certainly still have a lot more opportunity with legs left in it to get a little more squeezy for this day. But I thought that was just an interesting note to see for VWAP following it, how hard it did there for that point. And then that's really all it had, just kind of doging out after the final peak and then nail in the coffin for the rest of the day for volatility on that one. That is really all I had, just kind of quick and simple, making some great strides towards what I wanted to see from my entries and executions, especially on XRTX. Not that I had any hard preconceptions going into this, just saying, oh, hey, I think this could get pretty squeezy here. Just something was clicking in my head to saying, I think this one could be one of those ones. Had, of course, that still hard focus that I want to start laying on those afternoon fader style of trades, and I think SNMP and HIMS were really the only ones in my mind that hit that criteria. Not the best A+ setup in my mind, but we're following along closely to that I would have kept an eye on if they offered enough of a percentage move for me in my head that I would have started to slap those for the sake of getting more data on that style of trade. And the pattern that I feel has been repeating itself plenty times over and over again recently in this type of market. But it's exciting. Still slapping every single day, still grinding our booties away. I love it. I thank you guys for watching. We will catch you guys on the next one.